Good afternoon, family. I'm Curtis Cheatham Jr., and welcome to This Week in Black America. And here's a rundown of this past week's highlights. World leaders are optimistic for peace in the Middle East on the heels of the Israel-Hamas peace agreement. What's next, and how has this impacted Trump's reputation globally? We'll get into it. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton became the latest Trump political opponent to be indicted by the Department of Justice as the political persecutions continue, while Letitia James continues to vow that she'll continue her fight. A large number of journalists took a stand this week as they turned in their press credentials rather than submit to the new rules of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. And Mackenzie Scott makes another significant donation to a historically black college, further underscoring her commitment to funding Black educational efforts. And of course, this week we lost a pioneering voice of neo soul and R&B as D'Angelo passed away this week at the age of 51. And we'll get into that, along with so much more, coming up on This Week in Black America. As always, appreciate having my brother Deshaun with me. How are you this afternoon, brother?
I appreciate you, man. Always fun to be by your side. Welcome to our co-host checking in. We call you our co-host because we invite you to stay near your keyboards. We bring all your comments into the show. Let us know where you're watching from. And we're here Fridays, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we like to catch up on everything that happens. Sometimes we're busy. Thank God we have, Curtis, who continually subjects his mental capacity to watching tirelessly the things that are happening throughout the week so that he can organize a show that we can discuss. And so if we miss anything, feel free to type it into the chat. Sometimes you guys bring things that we didn't catch, but we look forward to a discussion. We're here for about 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours. So if you want to hang out with us, hit the like button. We got a lot to discuss. So Curtis, cue us up, man. We some interesting subjects to talk about this week, to say the least.
Absolutely. I guess we'll start with the peace deal. I mean, that's a big deal. The Gaza peace accord or peace summit took place this past week. Of course, President Trump is taking a lot of the credit, which I guess he deserves to, because he's been pushing a lot of the agenda as far as trying to get peace, some sort of peace deal in the in the region, well, globally, really, I guess. I did find it interesting that while he was talking about this peace accord, he at the same time was threatening Hamas. It's like I just thought it was a strange juxtaposition that he's being heralded as the president of peace, but yet in the same sentence he was like, well, Hamas needs to disarm, or we'll disarm them quite violently if necessary. I'm like, dude, you're actively petitioning for the Nobel Peace Prize, yet you can't, even in a sentence, go, without letting your violent horns come out at least a little bit. So that's interesting. I mean, we have why don't you take us into this peace accord? Because I know you've been paying attention to it as well, and it's something that you had your eyes on. Why don't you run down the Gaza accord, or at least what's been reported so far?
Well, it's important in America. This show is called This Week in Black America because we specifically talk about how these things affect us in Black America, and we also discuss perspective relative to America. America is not huge on Trump, but I think what we need to understand, what I've been trying to get across to many people for a long time, is the world is bigger than America. Right. And when you look at how Trump is ushered in, who stands next to him, the alliances that he's making, the conversations that he's trying to have, he got a $400 million jet from Qatar a few months ago. This is a new world order. And when you consider the progress that's being made towards that agenda, it's incredible. That's why America is not really first on the list. And you see some people with MAGA they have a problem with that. There are people who, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been in the news a lot this week. Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. These are typical, these are very big MAGA people, were very big MAGA people that have jumped ship as far as the MAGA train because they don't feel that, Trump is necessarily America first. Even Matt Gaetz, these are people who were very big, very, very pro-Trump. So when you look at the agenda on the world stage, the progress is undeniable. He's got leaders from Egypt, you got Syria, you got Qatar, you got Saudi Arabia, you have people who the United States didn't really used to deal that closely with.
Russia,
that love them.
Yeah.
So I think it's clearing the way for God. Again, what's happened to the Palestinian people is horrible. Right. Many of them return to no home. They illness. Many family members lost. So the quality of life moving forward for them is not going to be good. And they're not hiding that. The agenda was to take Gaza, and it's been successful. It's going to continually be successful. But in the aspect of stopping the fires, I don't want to say certain words because we're on YouTube, but to stop what we've been seeing for the last 2 years happening is wonderful. For us not to have to worry about young children and mothers and people besides terrorists being killed on a daily basis is cause for celebration. I think, God, hopefully everyone can sleep a little easier. And Trump is, for the most part, he was the catalyst to getting this done. For what agenda, that remains to be seen. Israel wanted that land. It seems like Israel's got that land. They're discussing what's going to happen. So I think we're going to see over the next couple of weeks, or next couple of months, if peace remains, what is going to be happening in Gaza that has been, really leveled for the most part. And are you going to help the Palestinian people rebuild? Are you going to help them? I don't see that. So again, you celebrate one end, but like the article said, there's hope, but how it. And Get Black With Me. Welcome to Get Black With Me. Great to see you checking in. One of our great co-hosts, and shout out to our new co-host that's checking in. SB, S Boom 2015. I see you, Thomas Campbell Sr. We're happy to have you. Stay by your keyboard. We love to keep you. We love to bring your comments into the show. But yeah, I Get Black With Me. It's going to. We just have to watch. But I don't think the Israel agenda has taken the back seat. I think we're going to see it full speed. And again, they wanted that land. And so I think they got it. Until I see otherwise, it seems like, one side is happy. One side's happy because they're not, I don't know. I
think both sides are happy because, the Gaza people, the Hamas folks are happy that people aren't being actively killed in their streets right now.
Exactly.
So, a ceasefire is important, and the opportunity for them to go back to what was their homes. I'm sure they're excited about that and about the possibility of rebuilding, but it just seems I don't know. I got to admit I wasn't all in like when the story was being reported, because I've lived long enough to see these sort of things come up before. And I go back to Jimmy Carter and him doing a peace deal back in the day. And we thought it was going to be a lasting peace. And yet I don't know how there can ever be a lasting peace when the people of Israel are really occupying, have overcome and took over a place where people lived. And, where does that sound? That sounds similar to, all right, we won't get into that just yet. But
Get Black With Me saying that there has been no ceasefire. It's a farce. But
right.
Based on what?
Well, there's still people being, there's still, you don't hear a lot, but even in the aftermath of the peace accord, you hear there's still these little skirmishes and things like that I'd heard reports of. They're not being widely reported because I guess they want to keep the narrative of, the peace holding. But this, did you see, this is like a 20-part plan that Trump has for peace. And this is only phase one of it. How is he going to get to, I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith that we're going to get to the later parts of this plan, but he's certainly being lauded right now for at least stopping the carnage, at this point. And I think that the world has to just keep their eyes open on this situation because, again, this has been going on for years. Mm-hmm. And Trump isn't the first person to come and try and proclaim himself the peacemaker. So but
he is the one who said from the start, peace was his goal. But we haven't seen. This is a takeover. I'm just going to continually say that to you guys. Like, there's another story we're going to talk about that kind of plays into this whole thing. Like I've been talking to y'all for a good amount of time, and if there's certain things that I cannot say. I can say them. I choose not to say them because they're not based on the interest that that me and God have talked about. They're not diplomatic things to say. They're going to hurt what I want to accomplish in the long run. Okay. So, but for those who have ears to hear, I've been talking to you guys for a long time. This is a takeover. And when there are people in the world that others don't care about, and the people in power and money advancing an agenda that keeps them in power. Netanyahu has tons of power. Small nation. And what we're seeing is a fortress being built around Israel in the form of alliances. So you have this very small state, very small country it's super small in the middle of a hostile environment. But when Trump flies into town, so many of the leaders from these surrounding countries are there to greet him.
Right.
They're standing next to Netanyahu. So when you're creating an alliance that, they say he's the Messiah. You can pull it up. Mm-hmm. He's the best president in the world to Israel. There's never been this is Netanyahu's words, not verbatim, but it's pretty close. There's no president in history that's been a friend to Israel like Trump. So they're calling him a year ago. They were calling him Cyrus, their Messiah. This is Jewish rabbis, not some nobodies. So when you consider that Jewish rabbis believe that there's a Messiah coming and the Messiah is supposed to destroy everyone who doesn't agree with them. That's what they believe. That's what we're seeing, and we're seeing it in a way that is almost undeniable unless you sleep at the wheel. More power as he flies into these towns, more alliances with dangerous, like you want enemies as your friend. You want powerful people as your friends, like killers as your friends, rich people who got land and family lineages that, these are the friends. So now you got Iran there who's like also in the middle of kind of this, because if y'all like them, y'all don't like us. You can't like both people. So it's just like this force field being built around Israel through being spearheaded by Trump and really forming alliances that are based on things we never will know about. What is the plan? What is in the Abraham Accords? What's in these alliances? What's the promises for the future that they're giving us a $400 million jet? What was promised? What was promised?
I still want to know how Jared Kushner got $2 billion in the first Trump administration, what he got for that money.
Conversations that used to have some type of oversight, but now again, so that's where I'm at with it, Curtis. I think that's all I got, because we have another subject, another, topic to come back that's going to kind of bring us back to this. But, overall, what do you, when you look at the way Trump is viewed in America. There's a No Kings rally this Saturday.
Yep.
Tomorrow. When you look at how he's viewed in America, how do you juxtapose that, or do you, to how he's being viewed on the world stage?
That's a difficult one, because I don't, I haven't been out of the country recently to gauge what other people are thinking. I do look at some sort of foreign press, and you're right. He is being hailed in some, globally as this kind of leader. I don't know how much of that is. I don't know how much. All right, people, if you look at Trump, you can tell that he's a certain type of person, right? And I don't know how much of this is psychological manipulation or just like kind of playing along. Even with this, the peace prize that was awarded last week, and the woman who actually won, like, called Trump supposedly and congratulated, gave him so much credit. Basically, kind of, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me, but kind of saying, oh, he deserved this and all. And I don't know how much of that is just cozying up to Trump's ego and, kind of making him feel good about himself, because we've seen that he responds well to that sort of thing, right? And I think that the world leaders are astute enough to realize that the way to get to Trump is to just kind of play along with it. It's just like, okay, yes, you are the great leader. You are the purveyor of peace. You are, and I don't know. I don't have enough of a sense of it if they're just kind of going along to get along and just want to kind of keep the waters nice and smooth, while they ride out the Trump time, or if they truly feel like he is some sort of great leader. I personally don't believe that, because I did go abroad during his first administration, and the response from people there was like, what are y'all doing? This guy's a clown. And I'm like, yeah, well, okay. Maybe he's made some progress. I don't know. I don't really believe that, but I do feel like people understand how to navigate Trump's ego a little bit better now, and how to manage that relationship. So, I mean, it remains to be seen. This isn't the first time peace has been declared in the Middle East, but I think that this time is a little bit different, because, as you know, we've talked about it. If you haven't gone back and looked at Hello, Black America, I definitely encourage you to go ahead and do that, because it'll give you some insight and some background as to kind of some of the things we're talking about, and how that might play out on not only on a global stage, but more importantly on a spiritual stage. And I think that he has a part to play in that, and I'm not sure exactly what it is yet, but I'm pretty sure that there's some sort of spiritual component here that needs to be taken into account. So, anything else on that? I mean,
well, we got a lot of co-hosts checking in, so let's bring in some of their comments. Good to see you, Anita. I hope you enjoyed your I believe it was your sister's birthday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think that's correct.
Hope you had a wonderful time. So, Get Black With Me says several people from Qatar were killed in a car crash in Egypt. I didn't hear about that.
I did not see that in the news. If there's some details about that we could share.
Yes. I remember him saying, yes, he said he hates his political opponents. He's a pathological liar. Get Black With Me is not very fond of President Trump, as you can tell. But yes, he did say he hates his political opponents. Anita said, we all know why Jared Kushner, someone who has zero diplomatic experience, was there. Continues to lay the groundwork for the Trump family resorts and spa. Yep, Jared Kushner has been a huge part. That is, for those of you who don't know, that's Donald Trump's son-in-law. He's married to Ivanka Trump, and
wasn't he the one that said they were going to make that all beachfront property over in Gaza? That was him.
Yeah, he's the huge real estate developer here in the United States, and He's also Jewish, so it'd be only natural for him to be involved. But he's also always in the room when these deals are made, and probably plays a large part in these deals being made. Jared Kushner has a lot of power. Those are Israelis. More Jewish people are protesting against Netanyahu.
That's a great point.
We separate Zionists. Zionists are people who believe there's you remember Curtis Manifest Destiny?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. God told us to take this land and to kill y'all and to do what we're going to do. So Zionist is the Jewish form of that. They believe that we're chosen to do this, but Zionism actually is rooted in Jewish mysticism. If you look at the symbol that is on that flag and just research that, you'll see it's actually not even. I want to say this right. It's not Judaism.
Right.
It's not the religion of Judaism. It is an actual spiritual practice. And again, you look at the symbols and just what they believe, it's an evil agenda. That's different than Jewish people, because we do see rabbinical Jews, we see Ashkenazi Jews, all types of Jews protesting against Netanyahu's war crimes. So
Netanyahu was on his way out the door 2 years ago, before this attack on October 7th, 2 years ago. Netanyahu was on the way out. And there are those that say he's keeping this war going so that, basically, because when the dust settles, the Jewish people are probably going to be voting him out, getting rid of him. So this is his way to keep power, some would suggest.
Well, there's rumors that he's funded Hamas. We haven't obviously seen anything that can prove that, but it's certainly in the air. And Trump is the laughing stock on the world stage. I think there's a divide. I just don't. Again, I give Trump credit for doing things no one in this world is able to do, like evading the entire United States justice system and then taking it over.
Right.
Who can do that? Even if you're a criminal, even if the United States justice system is evil or compromised, it still gets you. There's tons of black men in jail today. We talk about them almost twice a month that getting out because they didn't commit the crime.
Right.
But the United States justice system does not play. If we want you in jail, you're going to be in jail. Him to avoid all of that, dodge it all, charges, 2 impeachments, inciting an insurrection, 34 felonies, abusing women, no experience, 6 failed businesses, and I can take over the whole government. I mean, God, dude that's what I give him credit for. So when I look at him on the world stage, there's something about these guys. When you go to sit with the Prince of Saudi, the Crown Prince of Saudi, he's not pandering up to anybody. Right. He's not if he doesn't like you, I don't have to be in the room with you. I run a whole there's thousands of people in my family. I got thousands of brothers. And we all multi-billionaires sitting on. These people are not slouches that fly in to be in the room with him. So again, I know everybody has their opinion, but I think you're going to see him grow in power, grow in influence, win more people over. Because I know it's hard to believe, Curtis, we're only 10 months in, so we got another year and another 3 years and 2 months. And I believe through orchestrated events or uncertain events, he's going to continue to grow in popularity, win people over, win people on the continent of Africa over. You think clearing USAID out of Africa didn't get him popularity in Africa? He absolutely did. Yeah. Absolutely did. There's ministers who found out that the U.S. was funding Muslim terrorists to come into their actual churches. So he said, all right, I'm cutting USAID. You think that people in Africa don't love Trump? They absolutely do. So again, time will tell, and I don't think we're gonna have to wait very long. Anybody else? We got a lot more comments. I'm gonna save all these comments because we do want to revisit these.
They're coming in hot and heavy here.
They're coming in hot and heavy. Good to see you, Christina Adams, a new co-host checking in. Go ahead, because we're gonna read all your comments, bring them onto the show, but we won't get through any article. We won't get through any of the news this week. If I don't let Curtis go. Go ahead, Curtis. What's next on the agenda?
Well, listen, we have if you listen to the show at all, you know that I'm not a huge fan of the Republican president currently in office. But once again, I think we have found an area of commonality. The president this last week, speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One en route to Israel while he was on his way to Israel, he expressed doubts about whether his actions, such as brokering a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas, would earn him a place in heaven, saying, "I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven."
A couple weeks ago.
Can't make this up. We got to play this for you guys.
Yeah. You got to hear it.
Man.
You were doing an interview and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think.
Did you guys hear that? I'm going to rewind that part. That
anything going to get me in heaven. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay.
When I saw this, Curtis, everybody co-host, did y'all hear that? Let's just type ones in the chat if y'all heard what he just said.
You may recall the first time I agreed with him, he said the smart people don't like him very much. And now he's saying he doesn't think he's going to get into heaven. And I agree with both those statements, frankly. But I don't have a heaven or a hell to send him to, so I'm not I'm not going to be in charge of that decision. But as we always talk about, that we know a tree by the fruit it bears. And
who says that? Who says that, though?
That is true too, and that's
even if you didn't believe in heaven,
right?
Who says I don't think there's anything that's going to get me in heaven?
Right. I mean, even most people who have no spiritual background, they're pretty good people. They're good people, and they think they might end up in heaven because they're good people. But he just basically flat out saying, "Yeah, I don't."
Miss Dorlisa, talk that talk, Miss Dorlisa. Here's the guys.
Everybody's trying to talk around it. What? Hey, why are we talking around it?
Listen, when Jesus realized who he was, he only asked one or two, "Hey, can you let this cup pass from me? Because I know what I'm here to do."
Right.
I know what I'm here to do. But if it's not me, can you let this cup pass from me? Maybe it don't have to be this way. There's certain times when there's people in the scripture, when they find themselves in the scripture, it's not a King Cyrus. The prophet Isaiah wrote about King Cyrus before he ever existed, wrote about him. So when the Israelites were in captivity, when they showed him himself in the scriptures, it was nothing for him to question. Oh, I'm here to do this. I'm here to send y'all back to Jerusalem to rebuild. Okay, let me write the decree. God is so graceful. We say anyone can be saved. Anybody can be saved. You have up until the end of your life to repent and become a child of God, get born again into the kingdom. God is your father. But who can't be saved is son of perdition. The prophesied son of perdition, man of sin, can't be saved. And to see him say that, I don't think there's anything that can get me into heaven. Hint, hint, clue, clue. understand who you're dealing with here, because he understands it. He
Do
knows
you think
what
he really understands himself, where he fits in scripture?
He knows what he's here to do. I can shoot somebody in the middle of Times Square. I won't lose any votes. I know what I'm here to do.
Okay.
I know you can't stop me.
Listen, if he recognizes who he is, and you know what? It goes back to when he said that he had. You remember when? I guess it was in the first time he was running, where he said somebody asked him about forgiveness or what, and he said he's never had to ask for forgiveness or something to that effect.
You're big on asking for forgiveness.
I don't know. Maybe you're absolutely right. I believe that he may very well recognize his role because he's fulfilling it. Great. he's doing a bang up job of doing what the son of perdition would do, I guess.
He's the chosen one. And he said that himself. He's the chosen one. So if he knows this, then why don't you? To our listeners, understand clearly what's happening. This is a man anointed by the Zionists. The false Messiah comes before the real Messiah comes.
Right.
People telling you guys a rapture's coming. Oh, Jesus is about to come back. You're going to be sadly disappointed believing the doctrine of men over the truth. The false Messiah comes first and reigns terror, and he'll keep you in a secret place hidden. These are things. Look, look, I'm not going to get very specific because, again, if it's on you to talk to God. Me and Curtis always say, hey, pray, ask God. Don't take it from us. Ask God, is the things that these people are saying on this show correct? He'll tell you.
Right.
He'll tell you if you ever need to hear from us again. But I'm telling you, as somebody who this wasn't revealed to me through study. This was revealed to me in my garage 4 years ago when Joe Biden won the election. So I'm just telling you guys, and I'm gonna leave it like this. The longer you actually plan for things that are not true, the longer you are planning inaccurately. You're planning for a reality that is not the reality. I hope this isn't true. Well, I'm going to plan based on hoping these things are not true, which means you are actually ineffectively planning versus getting the confirmation that these things are true. This is where we are. This is who Paul said was coming, who Daniel saw in his vision, who John saw in his vision in Revelation, here in front of us. Okay, now that that's true, what do I do now?
It's interesting. Last week, our minister made a point just talking about, who could be saved. And he used the president as an example, as somebody, if he came down the aisle and was like, yeah, I've been listening, I've been studying, and I accept it. And you could almost feel the air go out of the room. It's like, but that's true. I mean, as long as he's still alive, and you said a lot there. As long as you're still alive, you still have the opportunity to receive the grace of God and do those things. But it seems like this man has a recognition of his place, and it doesn't seem like he's trying to get any closer to the God. Maybe he's happy or satisfied with the role that he has to play in prophecy and what have you. So again, as Brother Deshaun says, pray on it yourself, because we're not the ones. We're just kind of showing you the breadcrumbs, and you figure out where they're leading. You and the Lord figure that out together. But now there is some talk though, and we've been hearing about it periodically. You've seen the Trump 2028 hats and things that he's been pushing, some merch, but now there was actually a call from one of the Congress people, Representative Randy Fine, a Republican from Florida, put forth a call to repeal the 22nd Amendment. And the 22nd Amendment, if you're unfamiliar, is the one that requires or doesn't allow presidents to run for a third term. And so Representative Randy Fine is suggesting that Trump, who has successfully now brokered peace, going back to what we talked about, the return of the hostages, the amendment limiting presidents to 2 terms, should be repealed, according to him, to allow him to serve a third. Now, this isn't the first time this idea has been brought up. It's been floated earlier in the year by another representative, Andy Ogles. He introduced a joint resolution to appeal the 22nd Amendment, but that didn't get any traction. We are seeing some people that are responding to it. Now, what the question that I have is, if they repeal the 22nd Amendment, wouldn't that leave the door open now for somebody to say, like Obama, to run again? And what would that mean politically for the Republican president? Obviously, Obama still enjoys quite a bit of popularity from his time in office. I don't know if he'd want the job again. I don't know if his marriage would survive him doing the job again. But I thought
we know Michelle doesn't.
Yeah, we know Michelle ain't about that life. No, she's like, I want nothing to do with any of that.
You could choose them or me.
That's going to be the conversation at home. Is like, listen,
I gotta save the country. Look, it's them
feel like that
or me.
Go with God, but I'm not going. She's gonna be just like to the president's inauguration. She's like, I'm not doing it, or whatever it was she skipped that caused such controversy.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
that was the inauguration.
So they are talking. They're talking about it. There really are a lot of legal battles that they would have to go through. Mm-hmm. Most legal scholars view the idea of repealing the 22nd Amendment as extremely implausible. And one commentator said, I don't think there's any realistic possibility that the 22nd Amendment could be repealed. So, we have hope that the boundaries that have been put in place by the founding fathers of this country will stay in place. I gotta tell you right now, the guard posts seem a little shaky, because we seem like we're on the road to demolishing democracy at this point. But hopefully the guardrails will stay in place. Any thoughts on that before we move on?
Well, if this man's who if this is him, this is your last president. So again, this is not stuff that's new. Some of you who are new here, welcome to our new co-host, Mrs. Kiki, checking in. Always great to see you. Stay by your keyboards because we bring your comments into the show. We invite you to, dialogue with us, and you guys make a lot of our discussions interesting. So we love that. Hit the like button if you're going to hang out with us for a little bit. But if those of you, unless you're new here, you've heard the things we've talked about over the last 10, 15 minutes. And I'm going to continually tell you, well, if it's true, here's another sign. Here's another sign. If it's him, there's another sign. So this is the last president. So when you look at all the signs, he will think to change times and laws. That's prophecy. His look is more stout than his fellows. That's prophecy. The man of sin who will exalt himself above everything that is God and that is called God and worship. That's prophecy. There's specifics about this figure, and one of them is, there's no kings that come after him. Now, it doesn't necessarily say that, this land called Babylon doesn't have another president, but it does say that he's the final king. So it's never the same again. If there's another president, he's going to war with him. He's not like, all right, I'm out of here, y'all. I'll see y'all. I'm going to go hang out in Gaza with Netanyahu. No, it's like, nah, this is my country. And this is, and so prepare for that. And because the signals show, like you said, Curtis, the guardrails are coming off. We are finding new ways every other month to figure out how we can get a Trump 2028 to be a reality. Who saw... I don't know if you saw it, Curtis. Any of our co-hosts saw it last week. Jeffries is in the Oval Office with Trump sitting in the, and he got the 2028 hat on the desk. And Trump himself, not a social media, Trump himself post an AI video of him picking up the Trump 2028 hat and tossing it, and it landing on Hakeem Jeffries' head. So
I did not see that.
And people are like, oh, that's just Trump. How long are y'all gonna say that's just Trump? He's just the man is not joking. He continues to act like they think I'm joking, but it really just makes it a little more palatable,
right? As
I do what I'm been telling y'all I'm gonna do. So Trump 2028 is, especially if there's an orchestrated war, if we draw the country into civil war, if there's anything cataclysmic that happens over the next 3.5 years, or a little over 3 years, where Trump has to really man the ship. It's real. We got Iranians invading us. We got sleeper cells going with something, or a civil war, which some people say they're trying to incite, so that we can do martial law. Forget it. It's we can't have no elections. We're at war. They made people think we were at war to get control of the whole, 3 branches of government. Yo, we're at war. Yo, president has specific power when we're what war? We're being invaded. By who?
By us. We're invading ourselves.
So if they use that, Curtis, to get to where we are today, who's to say a year and a half, 2 years, right before midterms, right before the election? Okay, let's set some other stuff off. So Trump 2028 looks very realistic. I'm sure the founding fathers were turning in their graves no way. We wrote all of this so this wouldn't happen, but hey. Yeah.
I think it was Miss Anita that Anita made the point, and I just want to point out there is a case before the Supreme Court, and this is, I've been following it, but there is a Supreme Court case from the state of Louisiana, my home state, where they are hearing a case right now that potentially will dismantle the entire Voting Rights Act, the whole second section of the Voting Rights Act. So
what would that mean?
It means that they basically can go back to doing whatever foul stuff they used to do, poll taxes and literacy tests and things of that nature that they used to do to try and stop Black people from voting. The Voting Rights Act kind of put some parameters around that. And now it's basically saying, well, you can do what you want again. And that's, yeah, they're playing a long-term game here. And, we as Black folks need to understand that what the implications of these things are. They're just trying to slowly tear down everything that's been built over the last 60 years or so. And it's sad to think that the lives of so many people were sacrificed trying to make these what we call advances. And then as you point out, in 10 months, we have this one man really serving to dismantle the work of the last 5 or 6 decades in a matter of months.
And, Curtis, you and I talked because we actually streamed the inauguration. And this was actually our first show I think we ever did on This Week in Black America, was the inauguration show. And, I made a post on social media. It's been seen a couple 100,000 times now that said, hey, we need to be mindful, y'all. The scripture says when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes, and they won't escape
that on inauguration day.
They won't escape it. And Curtis was actually, I don't know what I was doing at the time, and you were like, hey, did you hear that? He just said it. He just said, I'm your peace, I'm your safety. Now, we had the world looking, and again, because you got to look, before everything went left, you had a lot of people around the world, all right, Trump's going to come in, get things under control, and a lot of people were saying, okay, he's going to be the president of peace. That's what he ran on. President of peace, no wars, not going to drag us into these endless wars. I'm going to stop the wars. Day one, I'm stopping wars. So when I told you that I believed that scripture that Paul wrote was fulfilled that day, some people say it's supposed to be fulfilled later, like right before the Great Tribulation starts. But I don't know, because for me, it said, when they shall say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes like a woman in travail, and they will not escape it. There's nothing you can do to escape what's happening. From the day he's sworn in, X amount of executive orders, X amount of memorandums, X amount of proclamations, day one. And you cannot stop it. There's nothing that anyone can do to revert. You can't vote him out. It's not going to happen midterms. You'll see. So I really believe, the more I watch, that scripture was fulfilled that day. And, we're seeing the after effects of that scripture being fulfilled.
So Miss
Comments going nuts. Go ahead. Read some of these comments, Curtis.
Miss Darlisa makes a point that there will be a civil war for food if nothing changes.
Agreed.
And I just want to stop here for a moment. Because if you've watched Hello Black America at all and gone, and I still encourage you, if you haven't, to go back and go to YouTube, check out the full episodes. There's stuff going on, and we have always positioned ourselves as a show of action. And I got to admit, I'm struggling a little bit about even what we do every week with This Week in Black America. Is I think it's important, but I'm not sure if the message is getting across to everybody. Is that, we've spent a lot of time talking about preparing to leave this country. If you're unfamiliar with that, go to rep2025.org. You can read about the petition, join the call. There, all those things that we've been talking about for months, that are well documented. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time going down that road. But as far as us reporting each week, I think it's important for me to just say it outright. Whether or not you are choosing to leave, or whether you feel like you cannot leave for whatever reason, this time that we are in, this season that we are in, should be a time of preparation, right? Regardless of whether we can agree what's happening exactly, we know that something is going on in this moment, in this season. Something is happening, and it's not necessarily good for our people, for our community. This is a time where I think we ought to be leaning in not only to community, certainly, as always, spirituality, to whatever extent you believe in God, and I suggest that now would be as good a time as any to lean into that and look for guidance from the Lord, the Spirit, whatever entity it is that you are leaning into. But this is a time of action. Get your affairs together. Get your money right. Get your plan together. Know where you want to be. Make plans for your elderly and your kids and things like that, because we are living in the most uncertain times ever. And that's even with the enslavement of our people. We're in times where they're trying to actively go back to times where we were second-class citizens, and they really want to. That's when Make America Great Again, comes from, is when there was a time when Black folks were subservient, where we were under the thumbs of our oppressors. And this is the time. This is the time. We're giving you information with hopes that you will take that information and take action on it. Not sit home and be like, oh boy, those guys were really right. You need to be taking action in your home to prepare for whatever's coming. Because if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And I just feel like I want to say that because it can feel so empty sometimes, just kind of saying, reporting the news. It can be depressing, as we talked about in the past, but what it ought to be doing for all of our folks is triggering a response, triggering some sort of action, because we know trying times are ahead. Trying times are ahead, man, for sure.
And shout out to Keesarit. Forgive me if I mispronounced your name. Welcome to you. Shout out to the co-host staying busy and you're sharing a lot. It is a blueprint. I believe it is a blueprint. And she said, pay attention to the East. Listen, we spend a lot of time focused on the West. That's why I started the show. I said, look, guys, we spend a lot of time looking at how the West feels about Trump. You know, the power's shifting to the East. There's a power shift. So it's about how the East feels. But you said something. The people have to resist this government and religions and reclaim their sovereignty under God. So there's different gods. There's different gods. And I know everybody always says there's one God. So there's one real God, but there's different people claiming to be the real God. So like example, let's just say you serve a God that is referred to as Allah. Okay. He said, I didn't send a son. Perfect. The God I serve said I did send a son. Two different gods. They both can't be right. Either one of them is right or both of them are wrong. But they can't be both right if they're saying different things. So when I speak on prophecy, these are things that are written. Why do I have total assurance, guidance? Why do I know when time comes? You just heard S Boom in the chat said, I'm waiting for the second Exodus. That's a person who is waiting on God, who said, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. I'm going to bring y'all out. And so when we're looking at prophecy, it gives us certainty. It gives us an anchor. So when we're not lost, these scriptures that refer to these figures that will come, the man of sin, another beast that exercises all the power of the first beast. So literally there's another figure who has come already, who exercises all the power of the first one. Like all of these things are anchors. That's why and I get it, people have hijacked the Bible, teaching you how to interpret the Bible. It's partially you and them, right? Because religion can't be formed without people saying, you teach me what's in that book. So when the scripture says, Joshua said, this book of the law, I will meditate on it daily. It will not depart from my eyes, so that I may know it in I will make my way very successful. I need to know what those scriptures say. You know how many black people say that's a European book, but you open it, you don't get to chapter 2 before it's talking about Africa? The setting, the Garden of Eden in East Africa, the rivers around Ethiopia. Like, it's people who are not reading the scriptures themselves.
Exactly.
That will unfortunately I'm a person who loves science. I was in physics. I love science. I love math and science. Volatile experiments should be approached very carefully. So you have the God of the Muslims who says, if you are a good person and you do this, you'll be judged and you can find your way into a good place after life. Okay, perfect. You got the God of the Jews who said, hey, if you do this, you're going to be judged and God's going to judge you at the end and you're going to be all right. Good person stuff. You got Hinduism who said, oh, you're going after this. Buddhism, Taoism, you're going after, be a good person. It's this moral code, a search for a moral code. And you're going to be judged on that. There's one that said it's not any of that.
Right.
It's based on you. None of you are going to be worthy because I created you in my image. So I hold you to my standard. I don't look for my kids to be like other kids. I look for them to be like me. I didn't raise you like this. Your mother didn't raise you like this. So I'm looking for you to be like me. When God created us in his image, he's expecting holiness because he's holy. He's not expecting kids to go down there and torture animals and become oppressors to the land and oppress people for gain and kill each other. And he's not expecting any of that. So what I have to do is send a redeemer to redeem all mankind based on me. This son that sits next to me, I'm going to send him down there. And if you believe on him, you ain't got to be perfect, but you do have to show a repentant heart. Right. So again, and I'm going to write everything that's going to happen. And if you really know me in my spirit, then you'll be able to see and understand those things. So aside from what's written, the Holy Spirit will reveal to you what's going to happen because it's been revealed in the scripture. There's no better way to prove that God who actually used men to send his spirit into men to write those scriptures, because there's no way you can write the end from the beginning. It's no way you can tell me everything that's going to happen in the 6,000 years of history before Christ comes in. There's going to be 1,000 years of peace. You wrote all of this before it's even happened. That's how you understand that this is a book that I trust. This is a book that is divinely inspired. And don't let, how many times it's been rewritten. Translated is different than rewritten. And if you dive deep into when the Hebrew Bible, when the king anyone who originally tried to translate the Hebrew Bible, they were visited by angels. They were visited by spirits, smacked them up in their sleep. Don't even think about doing that. The first time it was translated, they brought in 72 Hebrew scribes to oversee the translation. 72 Hebrew scribes to translate it from one language to the next. So a translation is different than a rewrite. These are the anchors. So again, I already know this to be true. And all I can do is tell y'all what's in it. Tell y'all, how did this brother know this is this? It's in the scripture. How did you know that they were going to take lands and do this and it was not going to be, and this was going to be the end of America? It's in the scripture. And the same God who reveals these things to me, to Curtis, to people seeking, can reveal these things to you and then give you the direction so you know what's the escape route he's planned. Beautiful. That's all I got.
Yeah, there was a lot there, and I just felt like frankly, the Spirit was leading me to get that point out. That and I'm sorry, let me just say this: as a man of a certain age, reading all these comments in real time.
Right. No, they flying today.
My life is just not trained to this yet. You know, this is a whole different thing. But I do appreciate the co-hosts who are actively chiming in, and they're coming up with some great stuff. We're bringing a lot of it in. I do want to encourage you, though. Don't believe what some man tells you, whether that man be me or Brother Deshaun or your minister or anything else. When you have the word of God, you can usually get it on your phone, your tablet. You can download copies of it. You can go to any bookstore pretty much and buy a copy of it that you can have for yourself, where you're not dependent. It's not in these obscure languages where you have to go and do the interpretation for yourself. As Brother Deshaun just kind of explained, the way the Bible was interpreted, it was done with a group of people to kind of make sure that we have the most accurate version of the translation. They're not rewriting anything. But the good thing is, if you know how to read, which most of us do these days, you don't have to be dependent on what the minister said in the pulpit. You can go and read it for yourself. And you should read it for yourself, because you are at the end responsible for your own soul salvation, right? for understanding. So you can say at the last day, yeah, but that minister told me, well, certainly he's going to be held accountable.
And why do we use the worst witnesses? Why do we pick the worst witnesses? It'd be like, well, God, that minister, he was taking the church money. But what about your grandmother? Didn't you see her pray every day? And she told you something. Make sure you got a relationship with the Lord. What about her? What about her? We picked the worst people. You see Copeland, God, he had jets. I didn't want to go to church. You know, he's taking the people's money. Yeah, I sent you other witnesses. Absolutely. So, so again, this is the stuff when Curtis, you laid this out and you set this up so beautifully because, like you said, we always want to be an action show. We want to give you the information on what's happening, But, you know, we want to make sure that at the end of the day, you have a call to action. And that could be praying, which Curtis always tells you to do. Ask the God. I'm talking to brothers, and I'm seeing brothers on the street. You've been serving a lot for years. Man, y'all all ain't got nothing. Yo, what's happening? I say, hey, look, I'm inviting y'all into the kingdom, okay? Look, I'm inviting all of y'all, everyone on the show right now. Before we move on to this next stuff, I'm inviting y'all into the kingdom. Become a child of God, born again. Come out of religion, be a child of God. Confess your sins to God himself. Believe that he sent Christ, his son, to redeem the world and to adopt you. He wanted you. That's why it was blasphemy for them to even hear Jesus talk about God as being his father, because it was all you could do is serve God. He don't want no family. He wanted a family right from the start. So if you come into this family, you can then receive of the Holy Spirit. You can hold him accountable to helping you. God is supposed to help. Like if you ain't got no help, then I just feel like I've been alone. Something wrong. It's either you doing this thing wrong or you serving the wrong God. Because the God that I serve said, I will help you. Seek and you will find me. You will find me. So I'm an ever-present help in times of trouble. Ever-present help. But you got to seek that. And as black people, sometimes I can't tell you how many times on the street before I go into church, I'm talking to people and say, hey, man, you want to pray? What you need? Hey, I don't need, man, listen, I'm good right now. You good? You don't look good, bro. Tell me. I can see it in your face. What do you need? Listen, man, I'm happy to wake up. That is not what we want from our children. I don't want my daughters going out here just being look, as long as you woke up, just don't ask for nothing more than that. We don't have because we're not asking. And that's scripture too. You have not because you ask not.
Exactly.
Wherever you find yourself, ask God. And if many of us started asking the gods we serve, the spirits we serve, the energies we serve to guide me, you'd see they're not the truth. And then you find the true one, because whoever answers me, that's the one who's true. We could do bad by ourselves. I don't need to be serving no God and I ain't got nothing. Been running with this God for 20 years and you ain't got nothing. And you can't get no help? Man, but I drink too much, man. It was my fault, man. I got into drinking too much. And so if your children got into drinking too much, you gonna stop helping them? Your children. No, they start drinking, I'm gonna fight for my children. I'm gonna come see. Yeah, just like the story when Jesus came and said, hey, I don't care, 99. The kingdom of heaven is like one who 99 sheep went out of a person who had 99. One went out. Mm-hmm. And the person said, yo, all right, hold on. I got to go find that one. That's how much God cares about one of his children. He's reaching out to one of you. I don't care. So anyway, I don't know how this done became a whole preaching episode, but I'm a bow out.
Listen, oh boy, I'm waiting for the organ to hit. Okay.
Those who tired of church waiting for the collection. I know. Here we go. We about to ask for some money. No, we know.
Hey, let's get the virtual collection plate going here.
All right. Come on, guys. Move on, please. Move on, because I don't.
Let's get back to the news.
Yes.
Because listen, it don't take much to get us on a spiritual rant. You know that. Just want to remind everybody that, of course, there's some real life things going on. We're still in the midst of a government shutdown, if you didn't know. This administration has been using this time to kind of do some nefarious things. We've heard the president talk about it in the past, that, we can use this opportunity to get rid of some democratic programs and this, that, and the other thing. So the president this week, during the layoffs, they have fired 4,000 people. Highly unusual, right? Normally during shutdowns, there are people that get furloughed, but generally they come back at the end of the whatever the shutdown period is. They get their jobs back. This administration has decided that instead of doing that, they're actually going to give them pink slips, essentially firing over 4,000 people. Ironically, many of those people, or several of those people, they had to rehire because they were fired erroneously. Once again, we see incompetence running rampant, but we've got people getting fired that had to be rehired. But now this week, a San Francisco federal judge said, he put a temporary restraining order on him firing people, basically saying that he thinks that these massive layoffs may be illegal, citing concerns about the political motivation and exceeding the legal authority. So something that we want to stay attuned to. We this administration, and we've been talking about it all day, has been kind of going like a bull in a china shop here, trying to dismantle things. Fortunately, in a lot of instances, we are seeing the courts kind of step in and say, hold on a little bit. This is a little too fast. This might not be legal. So hopefully those guardrails will continue to stay in place. Of course, this is only a temporary thing at this point. I'm sure that at some point they'll go to the Supreme Court and they'll probably continue to do this administration's bidding. But at least for now, we've got a federal judge saying, "Nah, you can't do this," because they want to fire. You heard somebody say it could be about 10,000 people that lose their job as a result of this shutdown, depending on how long it lasts. So, any thoughts on that? I mean, we don't have to do a lot on that. It's just news.
I got a question, and Mrs. Kiki said her sister was furloughed as well.
Oh,
Sorry to hear that. Praying for everyone who is, who works these important government jobs who are not being paid. We started talking about this weeks ago because me and Curtis was really debating how long either one of us would work. Even, your work is important. So, I mean, but how long are you actually going to come to work without a paycheck?
Yeah.
I think, hey, but no, take one for the team. I'll take one day.
That's crazy, especially when all the lawmakers are getting their paychecks. All the lawmakers, all those senators and Congress people, they continue to get their paychecks while this is going on. Something that they actively caused, yet they don't have to bear the impact. It's the American people that have to bear the impact of that, which really tells you everything you need to know about where Congress is in this whole thing and who they serve. They serve themselves.
King Chabo checking in. Good to see you. So are you saying, because I want to make sure I'm hearing you right, are they using the shutdown as an opportunity to fire people who are like everyone's not coming back when the shutdown's over? Like, we want to get rid of some of these people?
Yes, that's exactly what's happening. Now,
jeez.
Some of those people are getting together and filing a lawsuit, which is actually how this ruling came up from the federal judge in San Francisco, is that a group of people did get together and basically sue, saying that you can't do this. You can't fire these people. And that's where this temporary restraining order came into play, where they basically say, no, you can't do it right now. But as we talked about, that could easily be overturned by the majority of the Supreme Court, who Trump has in his pocket, of course, because he handpicked several of those Supreme Court justices who seem to have a willingness to do whatever it is that he says he wants done, basically. So, yes, they want to. That's what they want to do: fire people, and the idea is that they'll never come back.
Oh, man, Jesus, I don't have much to say about that. I just want to bring. We
don't have to belabor the point.
I just want to bring in one of these comments that it came from Kesaret, and forgive me again if I mispronounced your name. She said, "I thought they agreed not to take a paycheck until the government reopened." Did you hear anything about?
I've never heard that, and I doubt that it would. No, I've not heard that. I would, if you were going to do that, why wouldn't they go into a session of Congress and make it an official, resolution that the people of Congress won't get paychecks? I guarantee you, if they did that, it would be about less than 24 hours before they came.
The government's reopened.
Absolutely.
Right. I'm looking at something here, and it appears. Okay, so this is. Hold on. Let me bring this article in. So it says here that members of Congress asked for pay. So again, not all of Congress. So let's be clear here. This is people who I'm guessing have a heart, but let's just read a little of this. Members of Congress asked for pay to be withheld during government shutdown. A handful of Democrats and Republicans are asking that their pay be withheld during the government shutdown, arguing that they should face the same consequences as federal workers and agents.
They should.
So what this means for me is I just want to be able to say that I wasn't with that.
Right.
Did you refuse your paycheck? Let's see if, because, hey, I told you I didn't want this.
I'd be curious to know the people that are putting this up, how much money they took from AIPAC. Because clearly they probably don't need their paychecks because they're getting so much money on the back end. If you go and you look at some of these Congress people that come in as just kind of regular people and come out as millionaires, and that's because they're taking money from
all the lobbies
here and here and here, and they come out of Congress sitting pretty. They're millionaires. They're already getting a 6-figure plus salary to sit in Congress, and they're not doing their jobs because I can't even remember
insider trading.
There was any kind of meaningful legislation. The big beautiful bill was the biggest piece of legislation to come out of this Congress, and that one I've gone on the record saying is an immoral bill. So,
and let's be clear, we're not going to live that down, guys. Like that hits after midterms, January 2028.
Exactly.
So the big beautiful bill does go into effect in 2028. So all the things with just again I think this episode should probably be called like get prepared. And when we wrap this up, when we get to kind of discussion, maybe in another 20-30 minutes, we'll just do some discussion because I do want to answer I think Mrs. Kiki asked, like, she believes in the second Exodus, but what should people be doing to get prepared? So we'll revisit that. I saved that question, but this doesn't say they've refused the paycheck. It's just on record that just so you know, I'm on record as saying I didn't want the paycheck. I said I don't think we should get paid. But did you
Yeah, they cashed that
paycheck? Did you cash that check? Did you call your bank and say send that direct deposit back? Well, nah, because okay then. So so we understand, guys. Like we understand. We're on our own, people. It's the people. These people are not here for us. Like, we got clown shows in here, and then they give us little Hakeem Jeffries coming out. And again, it ain't got nothing to do with nothing other than the figureheads that they post up in front of us. They've proven in the last couple months they're castrated. And then when you look at who they're taking funding from, as Curtis just said, you're in bed. So you already bought and paid for, brother. Like just like Eric Adams. There's nothing Eric Adams can say to me right now because Holman got on TV and said, he know what he owe us, and he know if he don't pay this thing. So when someone's bought and paid for, everything
like
you're doing
himself?
Yeah, 100%. That's another thing. $50,000 bribe. Shout out to George Stephanopoulos. If y'all didn't see the George Stephanopoulos cutting off Vice President Vance, shout out to the people who are holding firm because all they know is I want to be on the right side of history. When history is written that these people sold out America for a foreign government, I just want to be on record as I didn't. And so shout out to them. It's gonna be we said this on Hello Black America. Again, this is the same YouTube channel, y'all. So if you got some time over the next couple of days, bounce back through our YouTube channel on some of the shows we did on our first season of Hello Black America. It's a different format. We were shooting in studio and we were discussing various topics. And when President Trump won, there was a few things that was on our mind that we saw. I think it was called the Black America Watch List, MAGA Watch List. Right. And we have seen these things come to pass. I think you'll enjoy a couple of those shows. So so check them out over the next couple of days. Same YouTube channel. Does a handful equal 5? Probably, Mr. Orlista. Probably. The person who was writing the article probably. All right. So question. So how many actually voted? Well, it was 3. Okay, I can't put that in the article. Well, make it sound good. Make it sound like it was more. Okay, I'm just gonna say it was a handful. All right, that sounds good.
Oh boy, you can't make this stuff up.
You sure can't.
I tell you what, though.
AB.
No, I'm sorry. Were you going to do some additional comments? Were you going to bring?
No. They're just coming in heavy. I'm
sorry. They
sorry.
are hot and heavy. I'm not even. And then somebody said that. Oh, somebody said. One of our co-hosts says that somebody returned money to AIPAC. Okay, I'd like to see a couple people do that. Be like, yeah, y'all going too far. Here's your check back. But not many people doing that. I must admit,
because they're gonna be like, wait, this only one check. Where the other 6?
Yeah, exactly.
There's only one. This is for the last 6 months. We're the one from 2024.
And beyond.
You ain't too deep. Well, let me sell the boat. Give me some time to sell the boat, and I'm gonna give you the money back.
Speaking of boats, we've been talking quite a bit about the various U.S. military strikes on small boats in the Caribbean, off the coast of Venezuela specifically. The administration has done it like I think 4 or 5 times now, where they've kind of just blown ships out of the ocean. And I've expressed my concerns about this. Even this morning, though, we find that the U.S. Navy has now attacked another ship. And this isn't even on our list. This is breaking news earlier today, where there's actually 2 survivors on this ship. So it was supposedly like a submersible type thing, but they fired and destroyed a lot of the contents of the ship. But apparently there are survivors. So that would be interesting, I guess, to see what the survivors have to say and how much actual evidence they have to show that these the people that they're shooting out of the water are actually narco terrorists, as they're dubbing them. And I don't know if you heard Trump this week talking about, we're looking at plans for land, on how, basically saying that we're not just going to do this on the sea, that we're looking at plans on how to attack on land. That would involve attacking a foreign country, which clearly is not good. You don't want to be attacking another sovereign country, because that clearly is going to could potentially lead to some sort of war. Well, let's call it what it is, right? But it seems like that's where we're heading for.
Help me out. And maybe, some of our I know Get Black With Me, she's very well read. Is there something in history where we're trying to take over Venezuela?
Venezuela is not high on Trump's list. And listen, we're seeing it. We're seeing it play out in real time. People that don't go along with Trump become enemies, and then that becomes his focal point, right? To try and get back at his enemies. All those who go against him. We're seeing it play out. We see it with Letitia James, John Bolton, James Comey on the political landscape. John Bolton is a former national security advisor for Trump. But when he got out, he wrote a book that wasn't favorable for Trump, and now he becomes an enemy, and now he's the latest person to be to be indicted on criminal charges.
See, I knew she was coming with it. He announced plans for a covert operation on TV. He wants their oil. I knew it had to be something.
Well, because follow the money. It's always about the money.
Well, and that's okay. Let's just be smart here, y'all. Because our co-hosts, we're cut above most people. Like, again, no shot at anything, but we just attract a very high quality group here. Let's just put our heads together and think about this. You don't even have to be as intelligent as we are to realize that if the United States has blown even one ship with drugs on it out of the water from our country, we need to find another way in. If we have drugs.
Right.
If we have drugs, if they are surveilling the waters, they just blew another one up because maybe that first one was a fluke. Right. They just blew another one up. So we keep sending drugs through the same waters?
So no drugs are coming in through New York. Nothing's coming in through Canada, huh? No West Coast drugs coming in.
But these guys are the guys who are sending hundreds of millions or tens of millions of dollars in drugs. hey, if it was drugs, which again is in question, these drug lords would say, hold on, everything's on pause until we can figure out a different way in, because they're blowing our ships up. So it, to me, even before you said what you were saying about what your comment and Get Black With Me's comment, it just came to my mind like there has to be another agenda here. Like you're trying to actually take over this country, or either disrupt it, destabilize it for your and again, when it's for war, I mean oil, now we can see that, oh, this is why you're blowing these ships up, not because they're bringing drugs in. You're trying to get some type of foothold where you can eventually take this country over or get them to submit to a deal. This is just okay. I just needed to know that for my own. You could be a dumb drug lord. You're gonna send 3 ships out and then they blow up and keep sending them. Miss Dorlisa said, so what happens? She said, this is hilarious. Do the tons of drugs just pollute the ocean upon explosion? Yeah, we're not talking about that. This administration doesn't believe in environment. So right, if
all the fish are high in the Caribbean right now. If you order a fish dish, you might get a residual, residual high, because the fish are out there eating the cocaine or the whatever it is. I don't know, but you are right. Actually, there was a lot of cocaine that I heard that did wash up from one of the other attacks. Supposedly there was a bunch of cocaine that washed up on one of the shores of the Central American countries, I believe, down there. So, yeah, but I imagine the fish are swimming faster today because they on that stuff.
Or slower, depending on what the drug was.
Depending on what it was.
Super accelerated or super laid back on chill. The ocean's on chill. This is, again, we got to laugh here, y'all, to not cry, because this is real. Again, Keith Sarrett said, isn't it crazy that Trump won't get the same charges as Duterte? I don't know how to pronounce this person's name. Duterte, for just bombing the seas on just speculation. I'm not familiar. Duarte. Okay. Mm-hmm. So nobody else so what we're saying is almost nobody in the world could just be launching bombs out, blowing ships up without recourse, except President Trump right now. Yeah.
Well, we saw Russia do a little bit of it over there in the Ukraine and Poland and stuff like that. So they're pushing the boundaries, but nobody's doing it as blatantly as we are. He's just blowing people out the ocean and like saying, "Oh, they were terrorists. They were dealing drugs. You ain't got to prove nothing. I guess all you got to do is say it these days, and that makes it true." No. So
Venezuela has one of the largest oil reserves. That's Christina Adams. Yep. Okay. Now we understand what's happening. Miss Dorlisa, Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Amen. Let's see. I just don't want to miss any of these. There was a time Venezuela provided free oil to poor families in America. Well, we don't like that. This is
that's why they took out the Libyan president, right? At one point, Gaddafi, I think. Yeah.
No, we don't like world leaders that want to do good for
people. Don't do anything good for your people.
Get them up out of here. Right. All right. Let me see. A Navy. Okay. No, I'll keep reading through these, y'all. Keep the comments coming. Curtis, that was a great segue, by the way. Going from the boat to the boat. I just want to give you your flowers on that. That was masterfully done. Great segue. So, all right, so what's next on the agenda?
Well, we kind of talked about it a little bit, so we don't really have to spend a lot of time on it. Of course, we know that the political persecutions have continued. As I just mentioned not too long ago, we saw James Comey get indicted. We saw now John Bolton get indicted, and Letitia James also get. Now, I find it ironic that all these people, now they've tried this before. They've been, even under the Biden administration, John Bolton was being investigated. Remember, he was Trump's national security advisor. So he's been getting investigated, but they've just never found enough oomph to move forward with a case. And in fact, in the case of Comey and Letitia James, the previous prosecutors were basically saying there's not enough here. So this administration gets rid of the attorney general that they had in place, brought in an unqualified or at least an untested, she had no experience with criminal cases, brought her in, and then all of a sudden within 2 weeks, you have all these people who all the others are saying there's no case here. Now all of a sudden they get indicted. Now I'm not getting excited about the fact that they're indicted, because an indictment is a long way from a prosecution or a successful prosecution. I don't know that any of these cases, I doubt that any of them will be successful in court. They probably get thrown out. But what's par for this administration, for the course for this administration, is to sow seeds of chaos. And if you sow the seed of chaos, as far as if you go against me, there are repercussions. And I think that's the way this administration wants to go. They want to sow seeds of fear so that you think twice before you speak out against this administration, because we know that there are real tangible repercussions that could come into play. So, not a lot to discuss there. But
it's more and more people hitting. We got, you got Comey, you got Letitia. We just continue to see these indictments week in, week out. John Bolton, like this is again, this is why people who were lifelong, or who were in Congress for a long time, hey, I'm out. All right, this is my last year. I'm out, because you got to know. I told y'all the scariest time. I'm gonna always say this, because if you watch this video, DC Young Fly, DC Old Fly, good to DC Old Fly, I'm calling DC Young Fly. Good to see you, sis. If you watch the video when President Trump was talking about who Joe Biden pardoned, because he pardoned all the people, he's pardoned Hunter Biden. You could see fire in this guy's eyes when he said, he pardons all these people. It's the saddest thing about this, though. The reporter said, what? He didn't pardon himself.
Unfortunately, though, the former president is in ill health right now. We've been reading reports about him. Who knows how much longer God gives him on this earth. But,
sure. Does he have immunity? Or does Trump have immunity only? I'm sure they could find a way to.
Trump's already a convicted felon. What kind of immunity can he have?
I'm talking about for crimes committed in office when the Supreme Court.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Well, that's just the Supreme Court gave him that leeway to be able to to do whatever he wants, essentially.
So if you talk about a man who has stage 4 brain cancer.
I believe that's correct.
If you'll talk about
it was a cancer.
There was no mercy when he found out that President Biden had stage 4. There was no mercy. None. So do I see that if he decides, I want to put this guy in jail, put him under, indict him. Again, no one is safe. And, it's just crazy. We are seeing more and more evidence that anybody who went against him or goes against him, that's why we know Elon and him are going to be back together. Because again, it's just if Elon wasn't, it was just getting too close. Hey, they figured this out. It's too much heat on us. You've been in this daggone White House, in the federal government. You've seen all the people's information. They know you're a genius with computers. They know you have all their information. They know you helped me win. There's too much stuff happening. We need to plan all right, listen, get Linda McMahon and call Vincent. I know he's not doing well. Hey, we need a script. Write us a script that you'd write for WWE. We need a fight. All right. And now Linda McMahon is writing a script, calling in H. Hey, all right, listen, he's going to say this. But the key is we know this isn't the same, because no one would be able to say to Trump what Elon has said and not be on this same list of, okay, I got you. I'll see you later. So
I thought you were going to say this was further evidence that he wasn't going to be in heaven, but I'm sorry.
No, the only evidence he's not going to be in heaven is he knows he's the son of perdition, because anyone could be saved.
Okay.
If I didn't think he was the son of perdition, then I would be like, hey, listen, pray for him, y'all. Pray for him. Pray for him, because anybody can be saved, y'all. He can change. God can visit him. Once you know who you are and what you're here to fulfill in this world, you are what you are to Satan, what Jesus is to God. That's what you are. All right. I know where I'm going. All right, let's go. With a blaze of glory. With a blaze of glory, we going out, though.
Speaking of blazing, DC Old Fly talks about that washed up cocaine is at Mar-a-Lago. You never know. Talk about a blaze of glory.
Right after the ship blew up, they brought in a huge net to save the drugs.
We having a party here at Mar-a-Lago this weekend. Come on through. Anyway, so yeah, we talked about the former security advisor being taken advantage of and being indicted, and of course, just real quick, the education department. If you didn't realize it, I just want you to see that, and this goes back to the son of perdition conversation that we were just having. All right, so we see the education department being dismantled during the shutdown, but the piece that you might be missing, they almost completely shut down the special education part of the Department of Education. So if you have a special needs child that has special educational needs, I'm not a teacher, but I know they have these educational plans that you have to put together for people who have special needs. They basically dismantled the entire special education part of the Department of Education. And now we talked about in the past, not justice administrations, this goes back to Thomas Jefferson. The people that are in charge, they want the electorate to just be smart enough to be able to go and do the things they need to do on a daily basis. They don't want you to have the intellectual capacity to critically think about things, because they want you to blindly follow whatever your leaders tell you. So this dismantling of the Department of Education is just further evidence of that. We don't want our people to be smart. We just want them to be smart enough that they don't go into some sort of there's not anarchy. You got to be smart.
Remember what we shared 2 weeks ago, Curtis. Trump said smart people they don't like him.
Right. They do not.
That's for those who are new here. That's real. That's not. Hey, you can go pull it up. Smart people don't like me.
Right.
I don't know why he said it. Maybe it's just
because it's true.
Right, but that came out of his mouth. So when Curtis, when you're saying like, all right, let's take away this, let's take away that, let's change education. Who goes for this? MAGA. The MAGA cult continually proves to us day in, day out that you can actually. There's a story about a monkey who reaches into into like a little case, and there's a peanut in there, and he grips it, but he cannot pull the peanut out. Every time he opens his hand, he can only pull his hand out if it's open. He can't pull it out with a fist. So he literally either has to pull his hand out, or you let the peanut go. Like, you can't do both. He sits there and starves to death. That's MAGA. When your own self-interest, when you say, I'll burn the house down because there's people in the house I don't like.
Right.
While you're in the house.
Yeah. That's a great analogy, though. It really is a great analogy.
Thank you. We in rare form today, y'all.
Listen, you don't know. Yeah, we are. But listen, that they are willing to starve themselves, kill themselves, even to uphold the myth, frankly, of whiteness. The whole uphold something that was made up, and yet they're trying to hold on to something. Oh, Anyway, I'm
Yep.
sorry. I was about to go on another rant, but I'm not going to do it because we've got to move through these stories. I do want to bring up a name that's been we've announced before, that we've had stories with her before. The former wife of Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon there. So Mackenzie Scott, his ex-wife, this week donated $63 million to Morgan State University. Morgan State University, if you don't know, is a historically black college or university in the state of Maryland, Baltimore area. And this follows up an earlier $40 million donation to the same university. So she's given over $103 million to Morgan State University in the last 5 years. So kudos to her. We've talked about her before, where she actually made a $70 million donation maybe a month or two ago to the United Negro College Fund. So she really is underscoring and doubling down on her support for black education. And I'm sure that her ex is I would say turned over in his grave, but he's still alive. But you got to know, he mad as I don't know what, that all this money he made that he ended up giving to her, and now she giving it to these black folks. And I found it interesting as you read through.
Gotcha.
One of the people who's been critical of her donations is Elon Musk.
Really?
So Muskrat is upset that she's giving all this money to these people, and I guess he ain't about that life like that. But I just want to say kudos to Mackenzie Scott and those who are like her, who are using their fortune for good rather than just kind of lining their own pockets. How many mansions do you really need? How many cars can you drive? You can only wear one outfit at a time. So it's like, how much of this stuff, and if you go back to Hello Black America, we talk about this in one of our earlier episodes. It's like, how much is enough? The age of excess and all that sort of thing. So she seems to have a recognition that she can do some good with the money while she's still here, still alive. And I give kudos to Mackenzie Scott for continuing to support black educational efforts, and this time in the form of a donation to Morgan State. So go Bears. Morgan State, I guess homecoming going to be lit this year. And the one thing we should say is these gifts, there are no restrictions on them. A lot of times people will give these gifts and say, oh, well, you can only use it for this. You can only use it for that. These gifts that she's been giving are all unrestricted. So you can use them, for scholarships or infrastructure upgrades, or set aside an endowment. Anything that these HBCUs want to use this money for, they can use it for. So I kudos to Mackenzie Scott as she continues to lead the way by giving. Now that would be something that maybe you would expect in a Christian nation, like to give to other people, right? Rather than just figure out what you can take from others.
Yeah. There's a good movie where I forget the character, but the main character is so discouraged, and I think his mother or her mother says, those on God's side aren't so few. Like those who are you got some people out here, you're not alone, and when people like Mackenzie Scott do this type of stuff, it lets us know that the new generation of leaders that's going to rise up, don't think y'all don't got people out there with money that's not going to support you.
Right.
You just got to go, you just got to go. Every billionaire is not on the side of evil. They just need the leadership. They need people who are going to, convict them, call them out. Hey, look, y'all, we doing this, do that. I did that to see her last month give that money, to see over the last 5 years, it just really, really does my heart good, because she's looking for stuff to do with the money. Right. You could tell she is literally looking for, what can I do with this money to help people? So, and shout out to her. Hopefully she inspires other millionaires and billionaires to take some of that money. You could still have 8 houses. How much a house? How much is a house? You could have 8 houses, 2 boats, and give to good causes. Like, it ain't an either or game.
Absolutely. You still, hey, she ain't suffering, right? She ain't suffering at all.
Right.
So shout out to Mackenzie Scott. Want to switch gears really quickly here and just give a shout out. Unfortunately, we lost a pioneer this week. Michael Eugene Archer, you may know better as D'Angelo, passed away just a few days ago here after a private battle with pancreatic cancer, according to his family. We know him from Brown Sugar and that song from back in the 90s. I know you ladies will remember that video where he's half naked. Y'all all swooning all over that, with him topless singing to you.
What was the name of that, ladies? Because brothers
I don't even know, but I know somebody knows this.
2 reasons brothers wasn't watching it. 1, because the dude ain't had no shirt on, and 2, because the dude looked good with no shirt on. So there's no reason for us to watch this video. 2 reasons why, So what was the name of the song, ladies?
Y'all tell us, because okay, I just cheated. Okay, but yeah, his influence is deep, and of course, y'all know that earlier this year, unfortunately, we lost Angie Stone, right? And they were connected because they had a child together, I think, and so wow, we lost 2 pioneers in this last few months that were really instrumental in laying the groundwork for the whole neo-soul movement in the mid-90s. So our condolences to his family.
How does it feel? How
does it feel? Okay,
yeah.
I'm not singing that.
Yeah, and another reason brothers wasn't watching it. That's a 3rd reason. No shirt. Brother look good in no shirt, and the name of the song is "How Does It Feel?"
Listen,
I'm gonna tell. I walk past BET. Oh, here we go. That John on again. But you cannot deny the impact in that R&B era because it was so competitive. So everybody that broke through was like everybody who was breaking through at that time. Jaheim, these guys were extremely talented, great voices, and I'll always think of D'Angelo as like just great voice, passion, soul. He looked like a brother from around the way, got the cornrows, he looked like somebody we know, and he certainly will be missed. And black men, take care of your health.
What?
Take care of your health.
I'm glad you said that, because I just saw I saw it again this morning on somebody's page where they had a list of all these people who passed away, Coolio and
ODB,
Biz, OD Square. I'm sorry, that's fraternity.
Biz Marquee,
Biz Marquee, and then Old Dirty. They had a whole list of people, and the highest age on there that was dead, unfortunately, the highest age they'd reached, I think it was Coolio, was 59. Jeez. 59 years old. That's the oldest one. And the list was long. It wasn't just like 2 or 3 names.
Yeah.
I can't even recall all the different names that are entertainers, musicians, and things that have died before their time. So we definitely want our black men, especially. I'm just going to put it out there, because we're the ones that don't want to go see the doctor, try and tough it out, and that sort of thing. And I encourage you, if something's bothering you, go get it checked out, especially if you got insurance. There's no excuse, right? If you got good insurance, listen, I ain't going to front. I've reached the age where something bothering me, I got my hand on the doctor's number, just like, maybe, okay, I'm going. I'm going because I got this insurance and I need to find out what's going on. I want to know beforehand. So, I kind of make a little bit light of it, but unfortunately, we've lost so many of our community because we're just not taking care of ourselves. And you know, you can look
until,
at me
until it's too late. You know,
right?
Now you're not eating meat, and you're trying to, you know, you're trying to go vegan, but you know you've done so much damage, and a lot of times as brothers, we don't know what damage is being done, and so that we can get on top of it. And you know, I was at my doctor's last week for my annual physical, and when I tell you, I got my blood work done. My energy level was low. He said, you need more vitamin D. And then he said, you know, so I said, okay. But then he said, you know, have you done a prostate exam yet?
Uh-oh, there it is. Ding, 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 ding. That's the one now.
Mind you, I'm already in a compromised position. Now, nothing is wrong. Go for your annual physical. Go get your blood work done. Like, go for an annual physical. All the blood work, everything, right? I'm talking to you fellas, like today. Set it up. Try to find an Asian doctor or an Asian doctor that you trust. Pray over them. Pray to God send you the right doctor, because it's doctors that don't like us. I told my dad that yesterday. It's certain nationalities, not all, but it's certain doctors that do not like us. That's history. Right. So we get sometimes, you know, and our women know that too. Our women know some doctors who deliver their children and who don't like them. So, you know, praying to find the right doctor is enough to drive a man or a woman to prayer in itself. Right. But you know, I'm already, you know, getting this physical done, and I'm in this compromised position anyway. And he says, hey, have you had a prostate exam? And I said, no. He said, well, you're 41.
He said, bend over.
Now check this out. Hold on, Curtis. Because this is how that's how I felt. I felt like immediately he reached for a tube of lube. So first of all, I swear to you, I didn't even see the tube of lube at all. It's like as soon as he mentioned prostate exam, the tube appeared.
You heard the glove snap?
The gloves was on, because I told you I was already in a compromised position. The gloves were on. But where did this tube of lube come from, bro? So I said, look, the first thing I said was, I asked him, I said, has the technology for prostate exams gotten better yet?
Nope, it's still the same thing. Here it is.
No. I said, well, hold on. I feel like a sister being taken advantage of. Like, I'm trying to hold on. He said, no, don't worry about it. Listen, all right, I know it's sprung it on you. You come back in 3 months, we'll do it. So I'm like, okay, cool.
You got time to prepare.
I was ready for the physical, but let me prepare my mind. Like, I need to watch videos. How deep do the fingers go in? Anyway.
Listen, this is traumatizing. We're giving y'all some insight.
Slow down,
brothers.
Doc.
This is the trauma that brothers go through, and unfortunately, why so many of our brothers are dying at an early age, because they don't want to have the finger up the butt. And right. I get it. I'm not a fan of this.
It goes up or in. Can we use the right words, though, Curtis? If it's going up, hold on now.
Listen.
In is different than up.
I don't want to be too descriptive, because I've reached the age where I've had to do this now a few times.
At least buy me dinner, Doc. Buy me dinner first.
Listen, smile, dim the lights a little bit. Let's put a candle or something on before we go. And this is, oh my goodness, it's traumatizing. But men, suck it up. You know. This is medical. This isn't sexual. Right? This is now. You get a doctor that is a little zesty. Now, listen. Choose carefully who you go to. Mm-hmm. But just kidding on that part. But listen, this is a medical procedure, right? Yeah. There's no romance here. There's no y'all ain't going out after this, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just taking care of your health. And if this is the only way to do it, suck it up for a minute. If you need to, after the doctor's visit, go take some quiet time in a room where you can,
Yeah.
Get yourself back together, kid. But do it.
And find a doctor with good bedside manners. Because again, there's different. Again, you need to feel great about somebody who's here to help you with your health. And there's some people who are straight up like, they just don't have those bedside manners, is what they're called. Like if you again, we've dealt with that. And again, some of our sisters could tell you, like they have to choose doctors that, are all in their personal business. And, you can have a doctor that's super rough and that doesn't care. And you're like, hey, this doesn't need to be my doctor. First sign you get. But nah, trust me, guys, you just go for the physical. Again, let everything else come from the physical. Get your blood work done. Do your physical. Like, do the basics. Right. You're walking around with high blood pressure. You might not know your blood pressure is high right now. Like, do your physical at the very least, and let that lead to the next stage of, maintaining your health and, preventative maintenance.
Absolutely. So I think some journalists this week were trying to keep their stress levels down as they decided, I don't know if you'd heard about it, but the Department of Defense, or Department of War, as they might call it now, the Defense Secretary had put some new rules in place as far as how journalists would be required to cover stories from coming out of the Defense Department. And they were trying to, I just want to quickly see if I can summarize this. They were trying to basically say that any journalist had to sign some sort of pledge, basically that everything had to be run by the Department of Defense before you did the story, whether the information was declassified or not. They wanted basically final approval of any story that went out, and they were forcing that the press to kind of adhere to these rules before they could have access to the Department of Defense. And as I read, I think about close to 50 journalists made the decision this past week about, we just won't cover the Department of Defense, because we're not going to sign this pledge. We'll find another way to get these stories out to our viewers, to our listeners, what have you. But as one who's, I've been real critical of the news media, the mainstream news media, because I feel like they have just acquiesced. They've kind of just been going along with this administration and not doing the job that the press has traditionally done, which is to point out the things that are problematic, to do some investigative work and come up with the background and not just believe what the administration is saying. So hopefully this means something moving forward, that maybe the press is starting to get a bit of a backbone. I don't know. There's got to be a place at some point where people respond to what this administration is doing. I don't know where that point is going to be, where it's going to be, but this is maybe the first sign that we're starting to see a little bit of a cracking in the armor of people's willingness to just go along with this administration without pushing back, at least on at some level. So I think that's a great thing for those journalists. I think there are some really deeper concerns that the idea of this proposal should bring up for all of us. But at least these journalists have kind of shown us the way, and we'll continue to monitor that. I don't know if they're going to make any change to it or not, but that remains to be seen.
Amen.
A couple real quick ones I just want to get through because they're the last ones on here. Just before I know we wanted to get back to some discussion, but there was a former NFL player, Wesley Lisi, and his daughter were held at gunpoint by Arizona police who mistake him for a different suspect. Apparently, he was at the airport picking up his daughter, driving a white Mercedes with temporary plates on it. He's at the airport picking up his daughter, and all of a sudden, he's surrounded by police. They handcuff him and detain him for some period of time. It's really only about 20 minutes, maybe. I ain't gonna lie, 20 minutes of being detained is still 20 minutes of being in cuffs.
Absolutely.
If you've never had that experience, I can tell you it's not pleasant. But anyway,
Absolutely.
there was a chase. They were chasing a white guy who was driving a white Mercedes, but this guy ended up getting hemmed up. It took them a little while to figure out that he wasn't the person that they were looking for. So this former NFL player has basically announced that he's going to file a claim to sue the Mesa and Phoenix police departments in a prelude to his lawsuit. So I hope listen, they need to be held accountable. You can't just go looking for people, and just because they black, So
what city was that in? What city?
That was in Arizona. He's suing both Mesa and Phoenix. So okay. I don't know which airport. He was at the Phoenix airport when it happened. So yeah. So we'll see. And then the actual suspect was a 19-year-old white guy, Hayden Beaver. It reportedly bears no resemblance to Lacey. And he was arrested days later and has since been convicted. So,
oh wait, so the guy that he said, the guy who he said you fit the description for,
yeah,
he looks nothing like.
Nothing like, not even the same complexion. So, anyway,
we made it a joke in the black community. You fit the description because it's been used so much against us.
Hello.
But when there's not even this is why when I was happy when I was 20 and I had my dreads, I was happy to cut them. You know, listen, I didn't have a choice. You know, when your hair,
Mother Nature might have made that decision for me.
When your hair starts thinning at the top, it's just like, okay, you know what? I've had braids. Let's go with the low cut, and then let's go with the baldy.
I saw a guy in the store yesterday. With
everybody in East Orange and North was walking around with dreads, so I could see them pulling up. Yo, you fit the description. But to have a high profile case where this guy looks nothing like the suspect is just further evidence. Give me my money. Pay me for my inconvenience, for profiling me, as you said, Christina Adams. We know what it
Absolutely. Is. Yep. So real quickly, last one, because this is more about the company that did this, and I just want you to understand where your money's going. But there was a story that came out of, they were in Georgia, actually, but there's a black police officer, Tracy Reed. He's from Clover, South Carolina, and said he was humiliated when he and his fellow officers went to a Chick-fil-A in Augusta, Georgia. And they're all in uniform. There's 4 of them. One of them is black. The other 3 are not. His 3 white colleagues were offered free meals. It's not unusual for law enforcement to be given this sort of free meal thing. And then all the officers who were in uniform together, Reed perceived the differential treatment as racially motivated. Duh. So even his counterparts were upset about it. So now I got some questions, but so here's the scenario. You got 4 guys all in uniform. They stop somewhere when they're on the way on a business trip. They stop somewhere to eat. The first guy goes, he's white. He goes and gets his meal. There's, no charge, sir. And then the second one goes up. He's also in uniform. He's white. And then they say, no charge, sir. And then the third one goes up and he gets his lunch and they say,
it's going to be $9.52.
Now the fourth one comes up, sir, that's going to be $14.38. What?
It was 3 of them.
It's the same as his.
3 of them got free meals.
3 got free meals.
Jeez.
Now, the question I have is, so if you read the article, they say that the guys were upset. They knew something was wrong. What I want to know is that did they now go and offer and go and pay for their meals?
It's just like the congressman with the not wanting hey, I don't want the paycheck. No, this is wrong, y'all. Yeah, but I'm cashing the paycheck. So, hey, wait, hold on. They made you pay? Lester. They made you pay.
Terrible.
Yeah, man, I paid. Man, that's terrible,
I'm mad.
You pass me the Chick-fil-A sauce, please.
I'm mad. Why I take a sandwich or this chicken sandwich?
Oh
So,
my God.
but listen, I'm not just calling them to accountability. I gotta believe I'd be like, if I were that officer, Tracy Reed, I'd like to believe that I've been like, oh, I'm gonna have to pay, but these three, you know what? I'd rather go to McDonald's.
I'm good. Yep.
You take this. You eat this.
I'm good.
You get it. I won't eat today. I'll go without. I'm gonna start my fast today because I'm not gonna give my money to somebody who just blatantly discriminated against me in front of my face. So,
and you know,
be careful who you give your money to.
Well, I think this might be. Let's just. Detective Thomas Barnett is the guy's name. Another white colleague said he was infuriated. Oh no, that's not the person's name. It was
no. He was one of the guys that was with him.
Look, this is the part right here. He looked at his plate. This is one of the guys, right? This is his reaction, y'all. He looked at his plate, looked sad and humiliated. That made me really mad, Barnett said. What? Like you said.
What it doesn't say, as he took a bite of his sandwich.
As he shoves down some waffle fries. What? Do the right thing, people. Do the right thing. The right thing requires your discomfort. You have to get uncomfortable. And it was free. It's not even like you don't lose anything. Like that shows where your morals are, where you won't turn down a free meal. You know. Anyway,
I would have liked to have seen all three of them just dump the food in the garbage and walk out and go get something to eat somewhere else. Of course, that's not going to happen. Like you said, hey, who turns down a free meal? I guess somebody with scruples, somebody with morals, with a moral compass, maybe. But there you go. If you next time you're sitting in line for that at that Chick-fil-A place and you're sitting in that 20-minute line to get something to eat, just think about the fact that whether or not they care anything about you at all.
If they're independently owned, there's franchises, so not the
the tone is set. The tone gets set at the top.
Curtis writing them off totally. Right, I'm done.
Listen, but they've been problematic in the past. They've been a strong contributor to the MAGA movement, from what I understand. So it's not like clearly they don't have my best interest at heart. And frankly, I'm going to go into a little foolishness here. I'm a fried chicken connoisseur. You don't get this size by not being, frankly. So I love a good piece of fried chicken. Yes, I said it. I don't care if you want to put that into some sort of stereotypical bucket, but I love fried chicken. Have it at least once a week.
Bucket. You had to use bucket in that scenario too. Fried chicken bucket.
Boom, boom. But I do, and I love it. So and Chick-fil-A is all right. I mean, if you're out in a pinch, okay, and the line's not too long, maybe you do go ahead and go and get you a sandwich from Chick-fil-A. But just know whether or not they have your best interests at heart, and that's not just for Chick-fil-A. That's for everybody you spend your money with, right? We talked about getting prepared, making sure you're planning. Part of that is part of that was building a community. So spending your money in communities that value your dollars, that are reinvesting in your communities, that are not just taking the money and running, and going back to their other side of the tracks there. So one time I wore a shirt early on when we were doing the show, to whom you give your money is to whom you give your power. And that still is true, right? To whom you give your money is to whom you give your power. Unfortunately, we are driven by a capitalist society, and it's all about the almighty dollar, unfortunately. But I think it's more important how you treat people, how you, how you walk. Are you a person of high moral character? Is to me more important than how much money you have. So, I'm not telling you what to do with your money. It's yours. You do what you want, but just know that there are people who just don't care about you, who are willing to take your money and then they are also willing to, to see your demise.
Vote against you. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. No,
yes.
it makes sense. You're right. You definitely know there was no black person involved in the Chick-fil-A chicken recipe. We know that.
No, clearly not.
We know that. So it's a different type of chicken. We enjoy it. I have to say, we have not. I didn't realize how much they were contributing to MAGA, because I always watched a lot of Truett Cathy's videos, who was the original founder of Chick-fil-A, and he just his son, I think his name is Dan Cathy. He's a younger guy, but Truett was a older guy, taught Sunday school. Again, he seemed like he was very, very big on putting like take care of people, take care of your neighbors. Like, and you saw Chick-fil-A doing that during hurricanes. Like, the only ones out here, they got boats, rafts. Come on, hey, we're gonna bring you to safety, and we got some nuggets in there for you too. So it was, you saw a lot of that, but for sure you can change. And so now that I hear you saying this, I got to look more into this, because I'm not necessarily going there. The sauce is good. All right, I got to think on this. I need, look, I don't mind. I ain't been at Walmart since last year. As soon as I found out, we were on our way to do some holiday shopping, and they're like, hey, Walmart is cut the DEI. I ain't stepped foot in a Walmart since. And so, but some things are difficult. So don't beat yourself up. If you can cut everything, God bless you. You can cut it, but cut what you can, because the cuts we are making such a huge difference to these companies' bottom line. So
as Target,
move
Target.
Yep. Move with your, move with your wallet, make decisions with your wallet. And like Curtis said, we got to think about people who, take our money, but don't, like you said, they'd rather see us not here. If we could get the money without them, we do that, But I want to just revisit as we close, because we're way over time. But we have we normally wrap up at 2 p.m. But I wanted to just revisit Mrs. Kiki's statement. She had asked earlier, what does preparing actually look like in real time? I do believe in the second Exodus. Wonder what others are doing. So prepare your heart first, because you need the Holy Spirit to talk to you. And the Holy Spirit's not attracted to certain energies and people and things being done. Hate. It's hard to hear. Now, can God reach in and smack, send a messenger, of course. But the scripture that Paul wrote about this time said that because the love of people would grow cold, God would send over them a strong delusion. And because they, very important, take pleasure in unrighteousness. So what this typically, you were able to, there was so much grace we're allowed throughout our lives. We do things that, we like to get back, we're not proud of. And God continually reaches out to us, doesn't allow us to be swept up in the sea of carnage. That's not how it's going to be right now. Your heart is what's going to allow you to hear from the Holy Spirit, because if you find any pleasure in what's happening, if you find any pleasure in all of these things, which, people are going to curse God, people are going to say all types of things, that it's not just deporting people or snatching up people from families. It's doing anything that God wouldn't do. It could be a matter like anything. If you find any type of pleasure in it, it's going to be very hard for you to hear from his spirit, because it's intentional that you're like this man of sin that God said would be all about showing how many people are really, got hate in there. There's a song back in the day Nas made, you got hate in your blood. Like, it's some hate there. And If you prepare your heart, then you can get the practical steps, which is find the people who or stay in the scriptures, wait on God, and realize that it's God's doing to send us out. It is not, yes, there's scripture that says, deliver yourselves, those of you who dwell with the daughter of Babylon, come out of Babylon, my people. Yes, there's scriptures that can make, and there's plenty of people who said, hey, I saw these scriptures and I got out of America. Mm-hmm. But the ultimate fulfillment of the second Exodus, one of them, in my opinion, is I will bring them out with great substance. So when the Israelites came out of Egypt the first time, they came out rich. They came out, the Egyptians gave them silver and gold, wished them well. Some Egyptians came with them, but bid them. They came out as a mixed multitude. Some Egypt, like they bid them, like one, Egypt was crashing, but two, Egypt saw what God was doing for these people. And God says when he brings us out, it's going to be clear it was him that did it. So it's not something you need to be absolutely like, oh, in a frantic mode about. Just prepared, looking, all right, what's happening? God, it's on you to do. And if you just know it's on God to do, me and Curtis have been talking about this for a year. And as much as all right, man, we got to do something, we still kind of revert back to the fact God has to do this. God has to do this. Even if you have the money. Some of us have retirement. We have Social Security. We have pensions. We have online income. We have investment income. We can leave. But you leaving is not the fulfillment of the second Exodus. A great Exodus, a people coming out with great substance is the fulfillment of the second Exodus. Genesis 15, verses 13 through 15. I will bring them out with great substance. So we come out of these lands of bondage wealthy. So you should look for an economic order of some sort. It may happen through legislation. We are petitioning President Trump to make a geopolitical deal, a diplomatic deal that will get him the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm going to communicate that to him at some point. This will get you the Nobel Peace Prize. You make this deal, 7-year open settlement, let black people leave, pay them to leave. Listen, we stole y'all ancestors from this land. Y'all go back and we're going to pay y'all to go back, and we are going to facilitate with that host country, y'all having subsidies. We're going to, as Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln said, support you until you become a strong nation. It's going to be a partnership. If you do that, you are getting the Nobel Peace Prize, because you'll heal race relations. So the people who want to stay here can't complain no more. The people who leave, all right, we going to build something major, independent, sovereign, and we're going to do it through alliances. So it may happen through legislation, or it may happen through a new economic order where this money that is pent up right now that we're not spending, we now begin to fund each other's companies. And I think that is much more of the offensive, because funding each other's companies needs to look very professional. Like the days of let's pool our money. I mean, nothing makes my skin crawl more than someone, let's pool our money. How fast can I get out of this conversation? And that's not because it's not a good idea. It's just the start of an idea that needs to be further put into a system. So we're not ending up with Jay Morrison's of the world, who we funded to start a real estate investment trust, and he hasn't produced any deals. Or Dr. Umar, who we funded for a school, and hey, we put money in and there's no school. And so we see these things happen over and over again because the way that we are, there's no platform for connecting Black America and the diaspora with the brilliant business minds that are ready to take money and give us ownership in exchange for that. And once that platform exists, once that ecosystem exists where we can actually fund collectively dozens and dozens of Black businesses, startups, tech companies. I made a video, some of you saw it, about Nature Jab. Left InvestFest last month. Brilliant guy, bootstrapped his entire refinery, invented a technology that is going to be the future, $1 trillion industry, and he left InvestFest not Afrotech, not InvestFest with no investment. That's a problem. He should have sold 20% of his company, 30% of his whatever it may be, in exchange for $3 million. And now the people at InvestFest own 20% of the company that Nature Jab is about to start. So when it becomes a $100 million company, the people at InvestFest own part of that $100 million. This is what we are going to create. So go to jointhecall.org, sign the petition. Once you sign that petition, you're in the ecosystem. I'll be communicating with you when there's something that happens. I email. Sometimes I will text. When there's something like this is what we have been working on since last year. Action. Nothing else but action. And again, those are the two things we're praying on because we don't know how God is going to do it. Is he going to do it through President Trump sending us out with a geopolitical diplomatic deal? Or is it going to be us creating a rich nation without a land? Which is okay because we can invest in hundreds of companies in Jamaica, hundreds of companies in Haiti, hundreds of companies in Barbados, Liberia, Ghana. We are the money. So once we start seeing that we're the money and the intellectual capital, we can put money into all these businesses. In 2 years, 3 years from now, you own a piece of 400 or 500 businesses in these countries. Everyone's rich. So jointhecall.org.
Listen, I appreciate the brother. Your passion for this is obvious. And we've been, like you said, we've been discussing these things for a while. So, if you don't understand that there's a spiritual warfare going on, then I invite you to get in your prayer closet, and get in the word a little bit. I thought it was frightening, not frightening, but it's interesting. Somebody put the quote up here that the strong delusion, that's such powerful because there are so many people out here, I think, that are believing a strong delusion, believing a lie right now because they are not checking things for themselves, not confirming them with the Holy Spirit and that sort of thing. So, listen, we've gotten preachy enough for today, I think, but you need to understand why these are coming up because this is action. We want to promote and prompt you to take some sort of action. We can't tell you what that is for you, right? But we know that if we invite you to consult with the Father, that if you are really truly seeking that information, he's going to provide it for you. Okay, so I don't want to stay on the soapbox too long, but again, we wanted you to be aware of what's going on so that you can take action, not so that you could just sit there and be comfortable. I don't think anybody can be comfortable in this time frame that we're in right now. Even ultra wealthy are having to move a little bit differently right now. Maybe to a less degree than those of us who don't have that sort of wealth. But this is a time to be in the spirit, and I'll just leave it there. Any final thoughts that you have?
No, that was mine. That was mine. You want to tell the people about season 1?
No, I want you to tell.
That was good.
Well,
all right.
Let's put it this way. We are as we're asking you to question where you are right now. We are questioning where we are right now and where we need to be right in this moment in this season, and we are actively asking God to lead us in that. And right now, we're not sure that we're getting. We're not sure that we're putting our efforts where they need to be right now. So we're actively praying about that. We'll give you more. If you want to go ahead and let that out, brother, you go right ahead. But I just frame it in that context. And we're going to see where things go.
Yeah.
If nothing else, both Deshaun and I agree on 100% is that we want to be within God's will. We want to be doing the will of God in this time, and we just want to make sure we're confirming what that will is. And when we get that confirmation, we're going to move toward what the Lord wants us to move toward. So that's always going to be our North Star. And there you go.
Yeah. So what we've been talking about is, we have right now over 5,000 people who've joined the call, who are ready for action. Most of them they've joined the call because they understand what's coming. Some of them are joining because they want to build a nation, or some of them are joining for prophetic reasons, or both. But we have over 5,000 people. And as we continue to promote this, it's going to continue to grow. And what we look at is this economic order is the most important thing, guys. There's a tidal, I can't even call it a tidal wave. It's a tsunami coming, and it's going to wipe people out. There's going to come a point in time where you're trapped in a financial system if you don't have, any other ways. And so what I believe is that the kingdom of heaven economy is coming to earth, and it looks like us I hate to say this, but you can take a model from someone who did something right, but they did it with wrong intentions. And that's our Jewish cousins. You never knew what these people were buying. You never knew what they were investing in. You don't know how many businesses were pitched among them, how many investments were made in, Amazing Savings is big near me. Annie Says, Rainbow. These are like small retailers. They're not all in business anymore, but they had huge runs. But Comcast, media companies, ABC, Disney, entertainment companies, music companies, all of these were actually pitches done behind the scenes and funded by them. That's why they own it. That's why they have voting power. That's why they're on the board of directors. That's why they can employ those who, the CEOs. They do these things, and that's the right order. Is us, and the best thing we can do for these more than 5,000 people, and for Earn Your Leisure guys, and for our Black fraternities, and for our Black churches who are going to need a playbook soon. What is the move, guys? Because we're running out of time here. And when this currency change happens in America, if you are stuck, you are stuck. There's a reason people are going to take the mark of the beast. We say, how could people take a mark, go out? Because you can't eat without it. So your choice is going to be either you come down and you get this mark in the name of national security, because if you're not coming, all it is a all it is a biometric identifier. I mean, let's be real, y'all. Come on. You're making it like it's some, blue. This is how it's going to be presented. They just want to know you're a citizen. They just want to know we got migrants here. We got sleeper cells here. Iranian. We got people who shouldn't be here. Come on. What do you mean you're not going there? They just want to know that you're a citizen, and they verified you're a citizen, and your currency goes through that because the US dollar is going to be no more. So if you don't have the plan, and the plan, the escape route is an economic order based nothing in that. We are doing more business in the Caribbean, on the continent of Africa, investing in hundreds and hundreds of companies. We are investors. We are the money. The future for Black America is not toil, it's investment. God gave us the money, and we sit here with nations that our brothers and sisters are in. They got the land. They got something we didn't get. We have something they may not have. We have the capital. We have the American taught brilliance, business acumen that we picked up being here, the ability to think quick, more competitive. That's why somebody can come from New York, go down south, run circles around people because you just move faster. You pick that up. But we have the capital, but we don't have sovereignty. We don't have land. We don't have the things that our brothers and sisters in on the continent of Africa have. Okay, y'all got that. We got the land, though. We got Black presidents. We got Black diplomats. We got Black people who do this. Come on in, mirror these things, take that investment capital and put it into these countries, and everyone's going to be rich. That's the order. And so we when we did Hello Black America the first season, It was a different style show. Some of you catch up on some of those episodes over the weekend. Would love for you to watch them. It was the close of first season. We will do more of those shows. This Week in Black America, close of the first season next week. But we are, and eventually, Curtis and I talked about, this should be called Today in Black America. So we are looking at a point in time where the media company we want to build is a media powerhouse. And we test these assets. We come up with these concepts. We see, do the people enjoy them? Do we enjoy them? And okay, this is something that we are going to, when the time is right, invest into these and bring them on a bigger scale. But at this particular point, we have thousands of people who need guidance, who need a play, and we believe God is actually laying it out for us in this new business economic order that is going to be built, where we own it, where, I mean, you're going to take $50 a week, and you're going to buy a company. $50 a week, you are going to buy a company, vetted, screened, awesome team, product, pitch. It's going to be just like Shark Tank. You're not going to be funding the person who says, you know what we need? We need our own grocery stores. Okay. We're not funding that person. We're funding the person that says, hey, I've been studying the grocery business for years. In fact, this is my partner. They actually, he's a consultant. He used to actually consult for Home Depot retail. And then we have this person who they actually used to work for Costco. And okay, and what we did is we decided we can do this. This is how we're going to get the growth. This is our marketing. That's who we're investing in. A team, a well-read, we got our legal in order. We got our company structure in order. We know how we're going to market this. We know how we're going to make sales. And hey, guys, all we need is the capital. And in exchange for that, we're going to give you 20% of our company. And we believe that we'll take that 20%, expand our first store, prove this concept, and then we'll be able to put these stores in multiple locations. And you guys are going to own 20% of that. $50, I'm in. Next week, you're funding a mining company in Liberia. Next week, you're funding a construction company in Sierra Leone. Next week, you're funding a mango processing company in Haiti. So $50 a week, collectively, tens of thousands of us funding companies, getting ownership certificates, and putting businesses in flight. Money coming out of America, pull my stocks out of Tesla, out of NVIDIA, out of all of that, and it's going to the Caribbean, it's going to Guyana, it's going to West Africa, it's going, and it won't take us be 2-3 years, we'll all be millionaires. Because one of those companies, let me just wrap this up because this is big. If you fund one company a week, $50, fractional ownership, thank God for President Obama. He passed the Jobs Act. You're going to hear a lot about that and how it wouldn't be possible for us to do what we're about to do without the passing of the Jobs Act, which actually regulated crowdfunding and the ability for the common man to raise money. Like before, you couldn't pitch a business to the public. The Securities and Exchange Commission regulated against that. You could only pitch to accredited investors. You had to have a net worth, I believe, of $1 million or an income of $200,000 a year. You couldn't just pitch to me, you, anyone, and the mom sitting at home who's like, all right, I got a little money, but what can I do with it? Now, through that act, you can pitch to them and they can invest in private companies. You invest in one company a week. That's 52 companies a year. You're taking $50 out of your paycheck and you are buying a company. 52 companies a year. After 3 years, you are going to own 156 companies. Out of all of those companies, 30% may go bankrupt, whatever it may be. You're investing in a company in Grenada, nutmeg company. Unfortunately, God forbid, hurricane comes through, wipe them out. They can't. It's going to take them years to rebuild. You lost $50. We lost $50 on that one, y'all. We're all hurting though, because we love Joe and Mama D from Grenada, and we believed in them, and they were going to take this, but they had a natural disaster wipe them out. Companies are going to go under, but we share the risk together. So we share the risk, and because it's 5,000 of us investing $50 to fund them. We lose $50. We don't hurt as much as one person investing in them. So you're going to lose some. Out of the 156, though, 10 of those companies are going to be billion-dollar companies, startups that turn into tech companies, media companies, music companies that take the music industry from the people who own it now and put it into black people's hands and does billions and billions of dollars. One of them is going to be that. So one of them is going to be a company that you invested in Liberia to start the construction company. And okay, we started a construction company in Liberia, and they actually expanded from Liberia to Sierra Leone, to Benin, to Nigeria. Now they are a multi-billion-dollar construction company that you own a piece of, that does $1 billion a year. You own a piece of that. So it's about, this is your portfolio. So these are the things, guys, that we are focused on, that it's going to be beautiful. Economic order is what's at hand. That's the kingdom economy. That's nothing special. That is the kingdom of God coming to earth, taking the money from the rich, putting it into the common people's hands. Kingdom economy, taking oppressive industries that rich people have dominated, kept the poor people out of, kept the common man out of. We're going to take that from y'all. Thank you for making it so easy to take it from y'all, because if you weren't so exploitive and oppressive, it wouldn't be as easy. It's hard to take it from Amazon. Hard to take it from them because they haven't built a business of oppression. But it's not impossible because they don't pay their workers. So if you actually wanted to start an Amazon, and then, hey, we're going to actually just make you an owner. Again, you could go in and try to compete with Amazon. You got to figure out another way to compete. How about we hire all of you, and everyone who comes to work for us, y'all own it. You work for Amazon, you don't own it. We're going to build the same thing, but y'all are going to own it. So it's ways. Anything oppressive is going to come to an end as the kingdom of heaven is at hand. You'll know the kingdom of heaven is at hand because that's the only thing that breaks oppression. That's what's coming.
Well, what I'd like to invite our listeners to do is to just allow your minds to be open to, we were brought to this country. We've learned the ways of this nation. Some of them good, some of them not so good. Some of them serves us well, some of them don't. So we've got to be able to chew up the meat and spit out the bones and use what we've learned here. I guarantee you the biggest fear is the reassembly of the diaspora. We are the engine. We are the fuel that drives the engine here in America. And until we realize the value that we brought and start to use it for our collective good, focusing on ourselves, once we do that, that's a powerful thing. And don't think that the powers that be don't recognize that. So they're actively fighting against us coming together. So the sooner we realize that, the better off we'll all be. Well, that's enough for today. We dropped a lot on you. We, as always, encourage you to be in thought, be in prayer about the things that we talked about. We don't ask you to believe anything that we say necessarily, but we do invite you to think about it maybe differently than you have before. So we'll be here again next Friday as well, noontime. We invite you to join us as we'll recap what's going on and look at things maybe from a slightly different point of view. We appreciate your time, appreciate you joining us, and hopefully
last episode of season 1 next week. Don't miss it.
Listen, tune in, tell your friends. We're going to try and go out with a bang as we end that first season. So encourage you to be with us. Until then, be safe on the streets. There's a lot going on. Always tell you, stay woke. Keep your head on a swivel. If you're out on them streets, be careful because there's a lot going on that's not meant to, that may be meant to harm you, potentially. So keep your circle tight. Keep your prayer life in order, and hopefully you'll be led by the Spirit. That's it for us this week on This Week in Black America. Hope you'll join us for the end of season 1 next week, and we'll be here again noon next week at 12 o'clock right here on This Week in Black America. Until then, have a great week.